Okay, and welcome back to the bench. If you watched my last video, you'll have seen a little bit of this radio. This was a radio I got off of eBay for 99 cents. It's a GE radio. I believe it's 7 or 8 transistors. I haven't counted them yet, and I can't find the schematic for it. It's a model P as in Peter 1730B as in Bravo. Okay. Nice little radio. I got it apart. It was pretty dirty. I cleaned the inside. I used simple green to clean the plastic. Came out really well. Okay, you guys didn't have to watch me clean. And there were some places here, they probably had foam or something in there, and it was all deteriorated. So I used a little Goo Gone to try to get it off. There was a strip up here and a piece down here. Over here is the model number. Okay, interesting. And in the back here it says if you're not going to use the radio for over a month, to take the battery out. Okay, so obviously they didn't take the battery out. Where'd it go? What did I do? Lose it? Okay, here it is. This is what happens when you don't take the batteries out. If you're not going to use a piece of electronics for 3 or 4 weeks, take the batteries out. This was obviously in there for a lot longer than that. So when I turned the radio on, I couldn't put power to it. I did find some connectors, a couple of them here. This one is very similar in size to the original. So this is the one I'm going to use. I'm going to replace the old corroded one with. Okay. I get these. You can buy these, but I scrap them from old radios that are junk and save them in case I need them. So anyway, the radio was cleaned on the outside. The case was cleaned. And get into the radio itself. Interestingly,
that's the cost of it, big guys. And I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network.
It does play.
Just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country.
Obviously, there's not a lot wrong with it other than the battery was left in forever.
And I talk to the same customer service folks.
I'm going to use my ESR meter, test a couple of the capacitors, and let you know what I find. I'll get this on the tripod so you can watch, and we'll see what happens. Stand by. You got the power off. Just watch the meter while I poke around at the capacitors. There's a couple of them over here. There's one here. I should probably short them out first just to make sure. Okay. Not completely dead, but well over probably what it should be. And I believe this is another one. And this one's also pretty dead. And there's probably, I think there's one more up inside over here. I think it's this one here. This one's actually pretty good. So I got 2 bad capacitors that I'm going to be changing. And what I really wanted to talk about tonight was the speaker. Now, I want to make sure I can get you guys in the shot here. You know what? Stand by again. Okay, what I want to talk about tonight, let me see if I get some more light in here, is the speaker. Look how thin the corrosion was from the battery leaking. Not much I can do about that. I'm probably going to clean it down and put a little rust preventative on there. Keep it from continuing to rust. But in the meantime, what I wanted to talk about was the speaker. Look how narrow the cone is on it. Okay. this speaker is, well, I always called them a reed speaker, okay? And the only time I've ever come across these are in GE radios. Now, other manufacturers will use them as well, but it seems like the only ones I've ever come across were in GE radios. You can leave comments about it. I'm not an expert, obviously, so any comments are helpful. But this type of speaker, this radio was made in 1967. Actually, there's a date code in the back of the case that says 6744. So it looks like the 44th week of 67. So this radio isn't ancient. It's old, not by my standards, but it predates a lot of the more modern type of speakers. So what I did was, in order for you to understand a little bit about this speaker, I've pulled some drawings up. Okay, in most modern speakers today, you have a permanent magnet. Okay, that's the two south poles and the north pole on the speaker. You have a coil of wire, okay, that's attached to the cone. And when a signal is fed into it, it moves the cone in and out and creates your sound. Okay, that's a permanent magnet speaker. That's basically what's being used now in radios and things like that. So this is what you would see normally. What predates this is this. Okay, and what's the difference in this? Well, this here is not a permanent magnet. It's energized by a DC, direct current source, which magnetizes this, and then when the signal is fed in, okay, it moves the coil in and out, which moves the diaphragm in and out and creates your sound, okay? This predates the permanent magnet, okay, speaker. And again, I'm not an expert, so if you guys want to add comments, please don't rip me to shreds, just correct me. I'm okay with being corrected. So what predates this is what's in this radio, okay? You have a coil, and instead of a coil going in and out to move the diaphragm, there's a rod, an armature, that goes in and out of the coil here. This rod gets moved in and out by the signal being put into it, okay? And again, as that's moving in and out, it's moving the diaphragm and creating sound, okay? This is a very interesting speaker. It does not have the dynamic range of modern speakers. It's pretty good, but it doesn't have that dynamic range, and it's limited somewhat. It's not a high fidelity speaker, but in a little transistor radio, it works fine. Yeah, where was I going with that? Okay. So this would be really the first, like I said, it predates the modern speakers. But it's interesting that it's being used by GE in transistor radios. Very, very shallow. Okay. And there's just a little rod, like you can't see it down in. Maybe you can if I can figure out how to do that. You really can't see it, but there's that little rod that gets moved in and out of this coil, and that's what creates the sound. I find it very interesting that it's being used, and that's why I wanted to discuss it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and change the capacitors, change the power supply and do some cleanup on this speaker. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get some of the rust off without getting it down inside. I don't want that vibrating inside the cone. And there's a product that I use. Instantly converts rust to a protective paintable surface. Well, I'm not going to paint it, but I don't want it to rust anymore. So I'm going to scrape some of the loose rust off of it, and then I'm going to apply that very carefully. I don't want to get it down on the speaker itself. And hopefully that'll prevent it from deteriorating anymore, and this radio will continue to work. Okay, I've made a decision here. I am not going to, I replaced this battery connector so that I can get it back in the case, but I've decided not to change these two capacitors. Why? Well, first of all, other than this, it's 100% original, okay? So I want to try to keep it that way, not that it's a collector's piece, but it would be interesting just to keep it that way and keep it original. So what I did was I'll flip it over. You can see what I've done with the rust. Now this is that rust inhibitor that I put on, and I may even get another coat of it on there, but that's what it does. It stops it from continuing to rust. It penetrates in there, stops it from continuing to rust. Now, I mean, if you have real serious rust, it's not going to help it. But this surface rust like this, it'll help this a lot. So let me get this, I'm going to get another coat on it and then get it back into the case, get it working. Okay, so here we are. We're all back together. Very nice looking. It's small. Definitely a shirt pocket. Nobody puts anything in shirt pockets anymore, even if you have them. But here it is, General Electric. It's a P1730B. Okay, and now
$1 million annually to about 11.
And prompt action, noting they followed their training to a T. And
I doubt it, but I will always come back because we have blood that seems to match pretty well.
We'll do the dreaded band scam.
if they don't correct it, they don't fix them, they're going to pop up in October and they're going to hurt even more. Because that's when it's finite. That's when it's... Well, the foam front, known in Hebrew as they all have...
It's definitely a city radio. It's not something you're going to be out in the country and probably pick up a lot of stations, but I'm
And when it does,
10 miles from New York City, so maybe 15, so
of religion, but of course it's usually referring to Christianity.
there's a lot to listen to here.
900.
The viewer has a feeling of drifting through space, plunging through a field.
Definitely has plenty of volume.
I don't know the word jealous because that's a pretty strong word.
I hear my mama calling me. I hear my mama calling me.
Not signed up for that passport. Something done on the outside. Business? Call CERTA. 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or go to CERTA.
It's got a very narrow tuning band. It's very selective.
Migrant detention center known by some as...
Here she sits down with the owners.
But Bloomberg's cruise reporter, Red Brown,
Personas esperando la nota feliz del día.
sí, ya la gente... Ya que te levanten esta... Ella I deeply your love. Cast your anxieties on God. I'm praying that you'll admit.
That's it. That's as far as it goes.
Before you are hired and will not require you to deposit funds and then return the money. Here's what you can do to protect yourself. Research.
All right. So that concludes the GE.
Push the crazy side, as you heard, has grown.
Now, let me turn it off. That concludes the GE P1730B. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Cute little radio. It does have a cardboard case. I guess it's supposed to be leather. But hey, this radio I picked up, like I said, on eBay for 99 cents plus $6 shipping. So there you go. Cases. Case leaves a lot to be desired, but
Thirsty for attention, they're thirsty. Story between her and Eastwood,
okay. There you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Quick like, leave some comments. Hope you learned something about vintage speaker design. Again, this was 1967, and that speaker was being used. It's interesting because there's no output transformer on this to drive the speaker. It's a push-pull output, which center tapped and drives the speaker directly. No output transformer. All right? It's just a little history, a little bit of what went on back then. And again, I've only seen that type of speaker on GE Transistor Radio, so a little bit of a novelty for me. Take care, click like, subscribe, and leave some comments.